I think this is going to be one of the more chaotic, wild drafts that we have. I think there's going to be a lot of trades. You're going to have a lot of teams putting out false information too, so get ready. But that's also what makes it tough betting on the draft, right? Because if you're betting on the draft, you've already got the Marvin Harrison bet that's in. My favorite bet that actually, favorite bet, period, but also one that came through for me was Bijan Robinson to the Falcons at number 8. Like that exact pick. And because you started hearing that conversation early. And what I've learned a lot of times, the early talk about certain players going to certain teams and that interest, that tends to be more of the truth. It's once you start getting into the middle, that's where the S sandwich gets in. And then on the very end, it's back to where it goes again. But the middle of that, that's where the chaos actually is, which it'll make this, I think, a little more difficult when you're talking about some of those more specific bets that are there, which is why, again, laying all that chalk minus 185, you're not going to get that anymore at Marvin Harrison, and there's still a lot of value with that.
I keep looking for it. I can't find it yet. I want, and it's probably going to be chalky, exact result, Arizona Cardinals draft Marvin Harrison. First 3 picks are going quarterback. Even if somebody's moving up, it's going Drake May, it's going Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. Not in that order. You know what I mean? And then Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals just makes too much sense because the Cardinals are going to want to take Joe out, or they're going to want to take a tackle or an offensive lineman. But Kyler is the guy there now, and he's going to say, hell no, I want the best wide receiver, and Marvin Harrison makes complete sense. If you're a big Marvin Harrison guy, does that scare you a little bit playing with Kyler? Or are you still – do you think that Kyler could win in this league? Not that he could put up numbers, but do you think like Kyler is ever going to be the starting quarterback in a Super Bowl?
I don't know about a Super Bowl necessarily, but I think a playoff team consistently. We've seen it. He just needs better coaching. I mean, the problem was, think of all those years under Cliff Kingsbury and the strong starts they had. I mean, they started off 7-0 one year. I think 5-1 or 5-2, whatever it was, another season, and then they're missing the playoffs or they're barely getting in. The issue always was with Cliff Kingsbury being figured out by other teams, and then there were no adjustments. There was no layer to what he was doing offensively or the game plan in general. He kind of just stuck with who he was, and everybody figured it out. Kyler's now got new coaching, a new start, fresh system, all of that. He needs those weapons. He needs those guys to be able to throw the football to. So I actually really like the pairing of Marvin Harrison, again, because it's most likely going to be Kyler. I've never been a massive Kyler Murray fan, but I've never been one that says, like, this guy can't win in the NFL because, he can. He at least is a good regular season quarterback. He can get out there. He can make plays. The big question is obviously staying healthy. He's not a big guy, and having the right coaching to put him in a position to get to that next level. And, let's be honest with ourselves. Is he playing video games or is he actually watching film? Like, he's got to also want to up here have that motivation, be the guy that's watching the film like a Tom Brady, like a Patrick Mahomes, like whatever quarterback that just takes this really, really seriously because he's got that. The question just is, will he take advantage of it,
I know I asked you, a little bit earlier about the Devils. Are there any teams maybe that are up and coming that you could see maybe making a playoff push that nobody's talking about, especially if people are just jumping into hockey now after NFL season?
Yeah, there are a handful of teams that have kind of surprised me this year. I would say among them are the Flyers. Where do they come from? John Tortorella is doing an outstanding job with that team. They play the game the right way. That they play the game tough. That they are kind of in the likeness of their coach, hard nosed. And I could definitely see them if they get in, and they're in position right now. If they get in, I could see them make some noise. That's really one of the teams that I'm focused on. I would say in the Western Conference, the LA Kings would scare me a little bit if I'm a top-seeded team. I've seen them. They've had some goaltending struggles, but they've got a great lineup. They've got some veterans who are hungry to win again. Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty. They've got some really good players still who are kind of in their mid-30s, and this is maybe their last kick at the can, and I think they're going to be desperate. So, I would say those are two teams that have really caught my eye this year.
Tarek, got about 90 seconds or so here. Team that you are most confident in winning the Stanley Cup this year, the team right now that looks the most like a Stanley Cup champion.
Wow, that's a tough one. The Capitals just whooped Boston in Boston last week, which kind of opened my eyes. But I feel like I've watched the Bruins a lot this year, and I think maybe they took their foot off the gas a little bit, knowing that a struggling Capitals team was coming into town. The Bruins, top to bottom, just look like a team that's primed to win. They got great goaltending in Jeremy Swayman. They got guys who've won it before. I would say they would be my pick right now to win the Stanley Cup.
Are you worried at all about the Orioles and not just the young talent they have, but now that they actually have an owner, that's probably going to actually spend money as opposed to that dope that was in charge before?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think they are by far the biggest threat to the Yankees over the next 5 years in the AL East. I know we sat around and thought Toronto was going to be that, and they still have a really good young core, but it felt like they still haven't seized that moment. And the Red Sox will find their way eventually, but if the Orioles, if they're developing all this young talent, and now you throw in an owner that potentially can outspend anybody, including Steve Cohen in the Mets, I kind of look at the Orioles as the beginning of that Astro dynasty, only on steroids, for lack of a better term, because they'll have the finances behind it. Yeah, it scares the crap out of me, which is why I think the Yankees really need to be all in this year and take advantage. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, that team is going to be a pain in the ass for baseball for a long time.
I think the future now of the Orioles with new ownership, that's not going to be cheap, puts that organization in a position to be an absolute, they could be a dynasty if they're willing to spend the money on those young kids they have.
I agree. Foundational is incredible. Baltimore did what Atlanta did, right? They invested in the farm system. They built an incredible foundation, and now they've got guys in the position to sign the checks that are willing to do it instead of talking smack to their own fans for no damn reason at all. Yes, Baltimore is going to be good for a while, but they're still a step behind Atlanta and Los Angeles.
Pitchers, catchers, reporting, baseball season. I need an early February 15th World Series pick, and it can't be the Los Angeles Dodgers. I allow no laziness here.
I'm going to go with this. I appreciate that because the lazy pick is the Atlanta Braves. That's the team in the NL. Like, I know, listen, we're all hype on the Dodgers. We should be. Shohei's there. Here's the thing. Shohei's not pitching. So you picked up a great DH. Nobody's arguing that. Shohei Ohtani is going to be an incredible DH. But you picked up a DH. Does a DH swing the team? Like, does a DH take you to the next level? Look at 1 through 4 in the Braves lineup and look at the Dodgers 1 through 4. They're pretty much level. Now look 5 through 9. In 5 through 9, the Braves have 3 All-Stars. They have one other guy that was right on the verge of becoming an All-Star. And if Chris Sale is able to, with the change of scenery from Boston to Atlanta, get back to the dominant form he was in, and if Atlanta can do what they didn't do last year, which is keep their pitching staff healthy, the pitching staff for Atlanta, front end through the pen, can absolutely go toe-to-toe with what they've built in L.A., and nobody wants to talk about it. That's fine. I will, boys. The lineup in Atlanta is better 1 through 9 than the lineup in Los Angeles. Atlanta, if you would have said no lazy picks, you can't have the Braves or the Dodgers, that would have been a better way to phrase it. But that's not what you said, and I'm a smart boy. Atlanta.